what went the decision to burn on the red shirt there and trotting him out?
We, it's one of those things that we've contemplated now for weeks. And, he's been traveling with us. So I don't know if you guys know it, but he's been with us. He's been eligible to play in every SEC weekend. And, at the beginning, it came just because we wanted to make sure that we didn't get shorthanded with catchers, with Harris not being able to throw, Baker, with the handmate fracture. We only had 2 catchers, so first it was just an emergency, make sure that you bring them. But a lot like Jack Doherty, where he, in the scrimmages, pitcher versus hitter, he's been outstanding. He's made some adjustments with Coach Clement. His batting practices are unreal. If you were just a normal guy coming to watch us play and didn't know, you'd think that guy hit in the middle of our lineup. And so, the last couple weeks, we contemplated it. And then when Tim went down, we got closer, do we need to do this? And when you start to look at, the guys off the bench, the possible DHs every day, it just, we're getting to the point where we either going to do it or we're not. So we decided to do it today. Didn't want to, we thought about doing it this weekend, thought it was probably not fair to him, to run him out there in his first college at bat with 13,000 people in the stands. And, excited for him today, especially to get a big hit.
You brought up Doherty, just more exposure for him. What'd you see from his first start?
Yeah, I'm sure he's disappointed with, the 2 walks and, base hit, by the 9-hole guy. He gives up 2 runs. But I thought he looked good again. It almost like the start might have taken a little bit out of him as far as adrenaline. Sometimes that can happen. It's such a kind of a process, that they go through to, for the start. And, I think knowing that this was going to happen for a couple days, that's what it looked like to me. It looked like, he looked really sharp in the first inning. The second inning, he looked not as sharp, looked like he, got a little winded. And, but yeah, I think the more times he goes out there, he's going to continue to get better.
Adam?
Coach, just looking at how John Rice played tonight, going 2 for 2, getting on base 4 times with a double, what did you think?
I thought he was terrific. And, I actually, we thought he had 1 hit, but you're right. He had 2. He had the chopper at the end there, and the big double early, and he actually won the game shirt tonight. And and really, what I told the kids, just a few minutes ago was, probably the only guy in the lineup that didn't give up any at bats. And what I mean by that is, not just not get a hit, but, every at bat, he competed, and, we had too many lulls offensively, tonight. And again, it's hard to complain, about the offense when you score 11, you take that every single night. But, we several opportunities with guys at third base and less than 2 outs, we didn't produce, and just some bad at bats that, we could have made it a little easier on ourselves. And John Rice, locked in and was terrific.
Chris?
Mike, how do midweek games like this and the success of midweek help put the break between a series like last weekend?
I don't know if I know the answer to that. I mean, you try to put the game away. It's tough. It's tough when you lose a weekend, but especially last weekend when you're so close and you lose 2 out of 3 to your arch rival. But we talked about it yesterday that you got to get over it. Just like you got to get over a win. There's times where you got big wins during the year and you got to be able to put it behind you. I think in baseball, the sport's kind of built that way, where you got to put, the good and bad behind you, not just games, but at bats, pitches, innings, and so I didn't think we played our best today. I thought, this was probably, I complimented the guys before the game, how we've been really good on Tuesday nights or Wednesday or whatever the midweek game is. Tonight we weren't as sharp. We weren't as sharp on the mound, and we weren't as sharp in the field, and certainly at the plate either. So one of those games where feel good that we won, felt good that we did enough, but we got to play better than we played tonight.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
John.
Hey, Mike, I kind of wanted to touch on John Rice a little bit here. What has he kind of meant to you and this program over the past couple of years?
Well, obviously he's a player. He's started tonight in center field, and a guy that helps us in a lot of different ways. On the field, as far as as you saw it tonight offensively, he can run the bases. He's the fastest guy on the field. He's really improved defensively. Just proud of him. But one of the unique things, as you can probably imagine, if you know John Rice, is just the personality, the confidence. It's really a neat thing. We said it a lot last year when him and Ely came over. It's not the easiest thing to come over from football. And you meaning reporters, always want to look at the baseball side of it, which is true. I don't mean that you shouldn't. But the other part is to come over to another locker room and to be a leader and to be able to jump into the team and have the team welcome you. Like they have to Jerry and John Rice alike. So to me, that's the coolest thing, to be able to watch those guys that aren't here, in the fall, but they'll come over. They'll come over on Sundays during inter-squad games and just hang out in the dugout. They'll come over, on their off day and hit in the cages and hang out with the guys in the locker room. And I think that helps. A lot of people, that's the thing that I think a lot of people miss or forget. They just look at being a two-sport player that you don't see it much, which I get. But the thing that you don't see is what great teammates both Jerry and John Rice are, and of course John Rice getting some valuable time this year is not only just starts but ABs, and he's helped us out a ton.
And a quick follow-up to that, you kind of alluded to it a little bit there, but based on your experience, how have guys kind of navigated the whole dual sport thing? And how would you say he kind of compares to those guys in terms of how he's kind of dealt?
I don't really understand the question of how they navigate. Can you be a little more?
Well, like, how do you think they've, like, I'm sure playing one sport, being, one sport athlete is hard enough, but playing two, like, based on your view, how has John Rice you think, balanced them both?
Well, I've said this before, to the beat writers here that, one of the unique things, and probably John Rice more than Ely, especially Ely with the injury, this year, they've spent more time over here. Both of those guys, but especially John Rice. And we've had a few, football players, but nobody's spent as much time over here, in the cages, in the locker room. And so he's, an outstanding student. We laugh. He can play the piano. He can sing. There's just about nothing he can't do. He's an outstanding student, as I mentioned. So the way he's been able to manage his time. But, the thing that I think we all appreciate, and I think his teammates appreciate, is, how much time he spends over here when, and not just this year, but, last year when he was, the starting quarterback, he still came over here a lot. And, you don't see that much.
Nick?
Was tonight the same deal as last week with bench, or is there something new that was keeping him out?
No, and he was better, Nick. He could have played tonight. I mean, if this was a conference game, he would have started. But it was just he just kind of grinded it out this weekend, and we took him out of that Saturday game, when we were up by a bunch, and it's still not great yet. I mean, he manages, and he can get through it, and he played well this weekend, but for the time being, it's still one of those day-to-day things. I mean, I don't have any doubt that he's going to play this weekend, but that was one of the reasons that we wanted to keep him out, today.
Gotcha. Thanks, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Chris?
Mike, if I could ask a non-game question. In regards to Coach Kessinger's number being retired on Thursday, what has Coach Kessinger and his influence meant to you personally for the program?
It's a great question. Yeah, he's getting his number retired because, he's arguably one of the, greatest players that ever played here, and certainly was a superstar here, for Ole Miss, but also a superstar professional career as well. But I didn't get to see that. Probably saw a little bit when I was younger. I remember the name, when I was a young boy, when he was playing with the Cubs. But when I got here in 2000, and he was still working a little bit in the athletic department, he came over and was so kind to me, and didn't need to be, and even when he left the athletic department and started spending all his time with the real estate business, he was still very kind to me. And I'll never forget, and I'll tell you, a quick story. We had a lot of success my first year, kind of unexpected. We ended up winning, I think, 17 games in the league, and we're second in the West, and we ended up going to a regional. My next year, we got off to a great start. At one point, I think we were ranked like 6th in the country, and then just really fell apart the last month of the season. And we went from 6th in the country to not making the SEC tournament. That was back, I think, when they only took, the top 8 teams. We just kind of fell off the face of the earth practically. And, at that time, here I am, I became the head coach at 33. So I'm 34 years old, and just, kind of trying to figure it out. And I remember one day in my office, a couple of weeks after the season, he came in unannounced, and he just shook my hand. He said, "I just want to come by and tell you to hang in there." He goes, "I think you're a heck of a coach, and you've done a wonderful job. And sometimes it just doesn't work. Sometimes it's you guys were playing great. You won a lot of games, and then all of a sudden, you guys just hit a spell where you just didn't play well, and it's unfortunate that it just happened the last few weeks of the season. But you're going to do great here, and keep your head up." And he didn't have to do that, and that meant the world to me. And the truth of the matter is, I really needed that. I needed somebody that I respected, that knew baseball, that said something to me that was one of the lowest points of my coaching career, and kind of picked me up. And again, I keep saying he didn't have to do that. Everybody knows Don Kessinger, knows that he's what a terrific person he is, and so genuine and so kind. But this is also another side. This is the coach of him, that he didn't have to do that. He was the former coach, and son was a former assistant here. He could have just sat back and watched, and he didn't. He came over to say some really nice words to a young coach that really needed it at the time.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing the story. And Coach Kessinger is right. You are doing great things here.
Well, I appreciate it. So some people may disagree sometimes, but I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, guys.